John, thanks for joining us. It was exactly a year ago that we sat here and reflected on a year that was about what might have been. Great to sit here today and start by congratulating you for taking the team to promotion. Our 125th anniversary, very significant, and so we'll start by offering you our thanks on behalf of the Raith Rovers support. My first question to yourself is, could you tell us a wee bit about where does the title win rate amongst your other footballing achievements?
No, it's got to be at the very top, really, I suppose, for being a personal thing. I've asked the question from journalists with regards to comparing that with the cup win at Hearts, and obviously the cup win at Hearts at that particular time was massive from the point of view that was the biggest cup that I had been involved in winning, you know. However, you know, being a first team manager at Raith Rovers, then that supersedes, you know, being an assistant manager and winning the Scottish Cup. Both will always be at the top of my great achievements type things. You know, achievements, great things. I think the second division title tops even the Scottish Cup victory with Hearts, because as I said at the time, you know, I think you've got the responsibility, everyone on your shoulders, the football club and everyone that wants to get into the first division, as we did. And so you've got to take that responsibility and make sure that you can do it and you can deliver it. And I'm delighted that, you know, obviously with a great backup from, you know, a number of people. The players, obviously, first and foremost, the players are the lads who have had to go out and week in, week out, deliver and produce the goods and get the results. And you know, obviously couldn't do it without their effort, their commitment, their desire, their hunger. And right behind that has to come the backroom staff that have been amazing. I say that all the time, and I'll continue to say that, because it's you know, they're like your right arm, you know. And Paul Smith, assistant manager, who been great in the training ground and great in the dressing room with the players. There's no real after that, it's no any particular order, but they've got the two physios, Gordon McCune and Alistair Matson, who I've said before and I have to say it again, brought back Stephen Hislop and Marvin Andrews to full fitness after serious knee injuries and going through operations on the knee. So they've done a particularly great job with these two, as long as everyone else throughout the season that they were treating. Wayne Henderson, the goalkeeping coach, I think it just goes to show the number of clean sheets that Dave McGlynn had, and also the ones that Gary O'Connor had. A lot of that's got to go down to the expertise of Wayne Henderson and the way that he trained the lads throughout the season. They had to work particularly hard for day one in pre-season right throughout the whole season. And then Brian Marr, the kit man, who you know, makes everything possible for the players to have all their kit out for them, to make sure the kit's in good condition. You see him on the touchline as well. He's very animated on the touchline. You have to control him as much as everyone else. But a special recipe in the background staff to make sure that everything was ready and right for the players. And then of course the board directors and the support they've given me throughout the time that I've been here. You know, they've supported me both financially and just letting me get on with the job and encouraging me to do it, and without any real pressure or any too much pressure. And again, after that, then comes a big thank you to the fans, because without them, none of it would be possible. We need them coming in through the gates to produce money for us. And the backing that they gave us throughout the season, how patient they were. We asked this time last year for them to be patient because of the away team coming here and trying to frustrate us and getting the fans to turn on us. I think that certainly struck a chord with the fans, because there wasn't very much of that this season. I think they were very, very patient. They backed us all the way. And without that, again, it just wouldn't be possible. So it's been the whole package that's come together, and we all celebrated, and it was great to see the celebrations. It was great to see the players celebrating after 2 years of disappointment at the end through the playoffs. And I said that to them at some point, that it would be nice to see them celebrating. I think it was before the game against Queen's Park actually. So it was great to see the players celebrating, and not only the players but the fans. When you go to the town on the couple of nights that we did, it was great for them. You see what it meant to the fans to be out of the second division and winning that title and going into the first division. So it's been a great end to the season.
You mentioned Paul Smith there. You've had a full season together last year. It seems that you have a very respectful relationship. How do you work together? Does Paul lead in the training field, or is it very much a team effort?
No, it's a team effort, and there is a mutual respect there. Obviously, Paul had a number of years manager at Berwick Rangers, and he had the experience of that. Paul takes all the warm-ups prior to the game. He takes the warm-ups on a Tuesday night, Thursday night. We put our heads together with regards to what training exercises we're doing. I'll get involved with the training exercises. When it comes to picking the team, we put our heads together, and more often than not we more or less agree on what's the right team to go out in the park and how we make the substitutions, and we plan before the game for certain situations that may arise and being prepared for them. And so everything is shared between the two of us. Let's talk about players coming and players going. Again, we're always in discussions about what players we need to, maybe to leave out on certain occasions. What players we probably talk about who's going to move on at the end of the season, and obviously players that we're bringing in. So we talk all the time, and it's a very great understanding that we've got.
Coming on to the competitive fixtures from last season, I don't propose that we go through every game because if supporters are after that. We've done numerous interviews throughout the year, but I would like to ask you for a general comment on the start of the season. I certainly remember that after the United game, the first game, you made a comment that they were a strong team, and if anybody finishes above them, they're likely to be champions. What was it about Ayr that even at that very early stage made you think these are the main candidates here?
It wasn't even before that. You just look at the players we're signing, and the money that they were spending. That even before a ball was kicked, I knew that Ayr United were going to be up there because they put a lot of good players in their team. And by the rumours that were going around, they were spending a right good amount of money to do that. So even before we played Ayr United, I fancied Ayr United to be up there because of the players that they had brought in. They had given themselves a bit of a shake from the season previous to that, and I repeat myself, but they were bringing in players that you thought they'll have a right good season this season. So when we were going down there to play a team that I felt were always going to be up there, then I felt that away draw in the first game of the season, and barring maybe an opportunity for very early in the game when Williams was through 1v1, I felt we acquitted ourselves very well, and in the second half probably could have maybe won the game and taken all the points down there. But it was a sign of what was to come, and albeit that I'm moving on fairly quickly here, but Brecon led the league for the early part, and Ayr weren't really right up there. They were up there, but not. It was more ourselves along with Brecon, and obviously but it was Brecon who were the pace setters for a number of weeks. So it was still to see if Ayr would finally break through also,
You mentioned about Brecon kind of setting there the pace. It took 12 games before Raith Rovers hit the top of the league, but then there was a really lengthy period, I think of kind of 14 consecutive weeks, which were held by 6 back-to-back wins. It seemed that the team from the beginning of the season were absolutely focused on winning the league. I'm very conscious there was never any discussion about playoffs. There was never anything other than we're set on winning this league. That obviously comes for yourself, John.
Yeah, the first night back in training, we set ourselves that target. I've never hidden the fact that Raith Rovers are a big club in this league, and I think I did say about this time last year that the league was holding us back, and I didn't mean that in a disrespectful manner. I think that maybe was taken out of context. I think every team sees us as the big team, and they raise their game to play against us. And what I was trying to say is that the away support in many of the teams we play is very low numbers, and because of that the football club couldn't get on, and most teams see us as, we're glad that Raith Rovers is coming because they're going to bring a big support, and that was what I kind of meant by the fact that we're a big team in the league. And I think that's that's been seen by the amount of attendances that we have here, and both here and away from home. So no doubt in the first night back in training we set out having two disappointments of being in the playoffs and losing, was to not get into that situation again, was to go and win the league. And from the first night in training we set ourselves a target to win that league, and I'm not making any qualms about that, and it's easy with hindsight, but no, that was definitely the target that we set ourselves.
You mentioned the quote that I think has been fairly widely misquoted about Raith Rovers being too big for the second division. By that you mean that we're an aspirational club, the physical setup, the youth structure and such like, in order to push that on, we need higher attendances.
Yeah, well, all these things have actually progressed in the last wee while. It was here, but maybe a wee bit of decay, but these things have progressed in the last 2.5 years. But yeah, I mean, I think the general public will recognise that Raith Rovers were a team who won the Coca-Cola Cup, a team who were in the SPL, a team that had to get their stadium up to SPL standard. And we maybe go to some stadiums and there's one stand and 3 open sides, and there's others with hedges, and there's all sorts of things coming in. And again, I don't mean to be disrespectful, it's a fact, and you look upon this as a proper football stadium, and it's a proper, maybe old-fashioned football club, where everyone's really, really important, from the laundry lady to the kit man to the chairman. Everyone sort of mucks in and works together. So I wasn't trying to be disrespectful in any way at all. As I say, I think everyone wants Raith Rovers to come and play them in this division, because 9 times out of 10 we'll take the biggest travelling support to away games, and that's why they would want us. I think that's partly why a lot of first division clubs want us to be in the first division, because they know that we're going to take a bit more support than some of the clubs that are in the first division. So there's a level of delight and happiness in the first division that Raith Rovers are in that league.
I think pre-season the Derby games stood out for a lot of supporters. They were looking forward to these with a particular vigour. Was it a challenge to keep the players focused on it being another 3 points, or is it their professionalism that sees them through games such as maybe particularly the New Year game, where there's always special expectation there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wally Gray does a massive favour by putting in the papers what he put in the papers over the summer. I think that certainly riled our players, and I think it riled our fans, and he probably done us a massive favour, because I think the crowds were raised by that. He probably raised the East Fife expectations as well, and I think he did try to back up what he said by putting a lot of money on the table for the players to win the games. However, we certainly set out with the target was that whether it be East Fife, United, Bacon City, Stranraer, the 3 points are most vital, and we were delighted to take 10 points out of possible 12, and probably the one game that we probably really, really deserved to win was the one that we didn't. And to be fair to East Fife, there's maybe a couple of the games that maybe they should definitely got something out of them. The 2 games certainly at their place. East Fife could have easily took a draw, possibly won the game and getting goals at the right time. But I think that was part of our resilience as well. That when we came under pressure, we were very resilient. And we defended very, very well. And that's a part of the game that has been shown through the league campaign. That the number of clean sheets that we got, and our goals against column is very, very low. And I'm delighted that was the case against East Fife. But to pick up 10 points out of possible 12. Was great against a team who were, had the opinion they were going to take 12 points from us.
And we'll move into that again next season, albeit that it will be much more magnified as we welcome Dunfermline to Kirkcaldy for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, I think that's part of the opportunity to get out of this league. I think when I came here, you probably didn't really anticipate that you would get a derby game for a number of years against Dunfermline, because Dunfermline were in the SPL at that particular time. And we were in the second division, and at that time you probably couldn't have seen the two as being in the same league. But then obviously last season when they went down into the first, I think again the expectation level was for Dunfermline to go straight back up. that hasn't happened. We've managed to get ourselves up there, and now I think it's great for both sets of fans to have a derby game between Raith Rovers and Dunfermline on the horizon. And I've spoke to both sets of fans, and I think they see it as great. We've got that back. I think it's good banter rather than anything sort of malicious or vicious or anything like that. You know, it's the fact that they can get the banter going between the sets of fans that are, whether they're at work or whatever. You know. It will be no different than these 5 games in the respect that the points will be the same 3 points you'll get for beating Morton, Livingston, you know, whoever, Queen of the South. Doesn't matter, you know, it's going to be the same 3 points. It brings an added incentive because you get the bragging rights on the Monday morning at work when you go there. I think there is a wee bit special in that about it. I think it gives you a wee bit extra skip in your step. I think it gives you a wee bit more confidence boost if you can win these type of games. And I think that there'll be close games. I think there'll be games that there'll be very little between the two teams. But big games and big support in these games. You know, I might be looking for capacity crowds here. The players will look forward to that. They always seem to respond to the bigger crowds on these big matches, and I think that's a good recipe for good football.
And coming back to the season past, as the season progressed, you were able to make some very shrewd signings at key times. Can I ask about the importance of keeping the squad fresh and at the right time? And you mentioned a wee bit earlier about actually having the trust of the board to let you run the football inside.
Yeah, well, I mean, some things were really forced upon us because you can go back and that I was certainly anticipating starting the season with Stephen Hislop, Graham Weir, Gareth Wardlaw. Stephen Hislop had hurt his knee in the first playoff game against Airdrie, then became apparent he needed an operation. So he went through the operation and was on the way back from the operation when he did his cruciate. So at that point it left us very short on strikers, and you know, we know that I know Craig Levine, and I went and watched a pre-season friendly game between Arbroath and Dundee United, and I was chatting with Craig regarding Kevin Smith, and the opportunity came up for Kevin to join us, which he did, and he's been a revelation with regards to getting us the number of goals that he did, and that was something that I'd been missing in the 2 previous years, an actual out and out goal scorer who was going to get you, well, he got us 18 goals, which we hadn't got in the previous 2 seasons. So that was a significant factor. Obviously, again, that maybe came down to the injury to Stephen Hislop, that we were forced into bringing somebody else in. And then in the East 5 game, where Gareth Wardlaw had done particularly well, unfortunately Gareth got a serious injury when he dislocated his elbow, which was going to leave him out for a few weeks, a number of weeks, and that left us with a situation that we were again very short on the striking department. And that's when Gary Wales came into the equation, and it was great to get someone of that calibre to come in at that particular time in the season. You know, he came from Kilmarnock, he came right from the SPL to join ourselves, so that was a significant signing at that particular time and gave everyone a boost, albeit that the first game he played in was against Brecon up at Brecon, and it was probably our worst performance of the season, and certainly one that Brecon did particularly well in, and very, very impressed with Brecon on that particular day, and they deservedly won the game. I mean, thereafter players came. Stephen Simmons came in just about the time where, unfortunately for Chris Sylvestre, he kind of dropped out with his injury situation, and we didn't know that at the time. We obviously picked up an injury. We didn't know it was going to be one injury. He was going to end his season with us, and we didn't realise that Stephen was coming in, which eventually was almost a direct replacement. But important that he came in. He gave us, you know, added ability and strength in the middle of the pitch, which was significant. You know, I can remember the game between Ayr United and ourselves out there, and albeit that we lost it, but I thought that Davidson and Simmons' combination in midfield, you know, they almost bossed the midfield against Aitken and Stevenson, who have been 2 big players for Ayr United, and I thought they outshone them on that particular day, albeit that we eventually lost the game on a kind of mistake. But I thought that you know, Stephen Simmons was a significant signing at that particular time. Got to again also remember the other guys that had came in from the season before. Like Laurie Ellis came in and was a steadying influence at the back. Mark Ferry had got us the odd goal, quite important goals, scoring up at Arbroath in the away game, scoring here in the Arbroath game, scoring here in the East Fife game. To name but a few, you know, Alan Williams, Alan Walker, he had a goal up at Arbroath that got us the win after the disappointment of a defeat the week before. So these were important. Ian Williamson came in, you know, round about just before the signing deadline, I think it was, in March, and he played the position in the right area and brought an energy and a drive and a positiveness to the team just at the right time. He only got the one goal, but he certainly played a vital part in delivering crosses coming the back post and adding, you know, as I said there, a bit positive as he was direct running, and probably should have got himself maybe a few more goals. And then along the way there, Big Marvin came back into the equation. He had been getting rehabilitation, or had his rehabilitation through our two physiotherapists, as I mentioned earlier, and Big Marvin was running at the football club for months basically, just running around the pitch and running around the pitch and slowly building up and doing different things before he could pick up the pace he was running, and then twisting and turning and doing different things before he actually started to join in with the team in training. And then that was just another stage in his rehabilitation before there was any talk or negotiation with regards to trying to get Marvin back playing before the end of the season. But thankfully that came round, and I think everyone realises that when he came back, we only lost 2 goals since the time that Marvin came back, and probably none of them could be pointed anywhere in the area of Marvin Andrews, who was outstanding for us. So that was significant. And I mentioned also Stephen Hislop, who had the injury. Again, the timing of Stephen coming back just when, to be fair, Graham Weir and Kevin Smith were doing particularly well, and obviously Stephen had to be a bit patient to get in the team, but the injury to Kevin Smith at Stirling opened the door for Stephen to come in, and it was great that he got a goal on that occasion, and he played his part thereafter, laying the ball off for Graham Weir to volley and score at Queen's Park, which became the winning goal on that particular day, and ultimately was a goal that sealed the winning of the title in the championship. So again, he came back at an important time and played a big part.
What was interesting speaking to the players who came and joined the club is that they very quickly associated themselves with Raith Rovers. They very quickly says, we really feel incredibly well looked after. Commenting that on camera, I mean, hopefully that will rub off, and in the future it will make it easier to attract players here, because I know that they're going to be well looked after.
Well, I hope so, and I'm delighted that is the case. It's great to hear that from players. It's what I said earlier, the backroom staff have been amazing to make it very easy for players to fit in, or even our existing players make it very easy for players to come here and fit in. We welcome them with open arms, but the way that they are treated is a great testimony to the backroom staff to make sure that they get the best of treatment that we possibly can, whether that be in physiotherapy, or whether it be in kit, or whether it be in the food that Brian also does. All these things make a football player feel welcome, and if the football player feels good and in his mind he feels good, then you've got a right good chance of getting a performance on a Saturday. Whereas if there's negativity going around, there's a likelihood that you're not going to get the best out of people. So I can only thank the backroom staff and everyone for making the new players very welcome and making them feel very much part of Raith Rovers Football Club.
It's good that players are welcome here, but it's also very clear that a lot's demanded of them, and that they're going to have to work very, very hard here. I found it really interesting, and it became a bit of a pet project of ourselves to know how many of the opposition managers would say, but Raith Rovers are a full-time team. You must take some pleasure from that people are performing, a number of part-time players, but their professionalism, their fitness is so high that misconception arose?
Yeah, we do have a great demand on trying to be fit, you know. There's a great professionalism, whether you be full-time or part-time. Before you're part-time doesn't mean to say you can't be professional, you know, and I think we try to put that across all the time. So from the youngest player in here to the oldest player, you know, when they come in through the door, they realise that they're going to have to work hard, and that will be no different next season. We need players who want to come in here, who are hungry to come in here, take the challenge on, and you know, if anyone's not willing to work hard, they probably won't last too long. That's the way it's got to be. The game's very much about being mobile and trying to get across the pitch and up and down the pitch, and that's what we base ourselves on. We like to pass the ball. The training sessions are interesting. There should be a big level of enthusiasm to come and train with us. They're motivational, and so, you know, the players, from my point of view, don't have any excuse in that manner, that they should be happy to come to training and delighted to train with us. And yes, it'll be hard physically, but that will only set them up to be able to play the game on a Saturday.
Can I ask John if you could, about kind of personal highs and lows this season, can you pinpoint a couple of incidents where you thought this is the difference between being in the playoffs and actually the champions?
There's a number of these. We could go through the spell near the beginning of the season where we went and scored some late goals. I can remember out here, it was early against Stranraer, we scored in the game, we went 1-up, and then Stranraer equalised, and the second half was fairly even. In fact, Stranraer done particularly well, but we took a quick free kick down the right hand side, and Craig Wilson swung a ball in, and Kevin Smith scored with a header, and that got us a late victory, which was really crucial. Another one again was a game where we didn't do particularly well. It was still in Albion at home, although we did start the game well, and probably we should have went ahead, and Stirling scored against the run of play. Similar to the last game, the second half we didn't do quite as well. We probably didn't look like scoring, and Stirling had an opportunity to make it 2-0 with a penalty which Ian Hartley missed. And we went up the park, and Lee Bryce had came on, and he showed a really good turn of pace and caused a bit of problem for them, and he got us a penalty which Kevin Smith scored. So from getting no points, we got a point, and it would be a type of performance and type of game where we would have lost all 3 points prior to that. If I come, you know, further forward, I mentioned the Arbroath game earlier. Against Arbroath at the game here, you know, we went ahead. Arbroath scored very late in the game, but we then went on to score very late when Mark Ferry scored. So that was significant. The Ayr United game out here, 3-2 game, where we went behind, we levelled the score, we went in front very late, Ayr United equalised, and even later than that we score. Again, Kevin Smith scoring after a Gary Will shot. So that was points that we would have dropped in the season previously. So that was significant. All these factors tell you that there's a mentality in the team, a strong mentality to keep going, not to give up, and to be resilient, and to, you know, go right to the end. Games towards the end of the season that would also back that up would be the Alloa game. I think that was a significant game. Alloa out here, we're winning 1-0. Unfortunately for us, Stephen Simmons gets sent off, and it leaves us with 10 men for a long spell in the game, for maybe just under an hour. And Alloa equalise in the second half. After some good defending by us, Alloa equalise, and the team, you know, dig in, roll the sleeves up, and we go on to win the game 3-1 with 10 men. I think that was a significant bearing on us winning the league. I think that gave us great belief and great confidence at that stage. And then the next home game, I think it was, Brecon at home. Brecon came here. We not the strongest squad available to them, however, in a defensive shape to frustrate us and to try and get a point and maybe sneak a win. And that's how it was looking for a long spell. But we did do better in the second half, and we were creating chances. Still, like a lot of people were wondering where the goal was going to come from, and a great free kick from Robert Sloan, which I think was probably my goal of the season, in my opinion. 0-0, 75 minutes, desperately needing a victory. Free kick at 25 yards out, and he bends a ball into the top corner. It's going away from the goalkeeper, left footed, away into the corner of the goal. And Nelson was trying his hardest to get to it and still couldn't get anywhere near it. And a great goal, and we ended up getting a second goal with Graham Weir just to put the icing on the cake. But that was a big factor in us winning the league, and it might have been a game that last year might have petered out at 0-0 and points that would have been dropped. So there's a number of games there that you can recall as being significant.
If I could very, very briefly look at one of the kind of low points for the supporters, and that was the game that we lost here against Ayr, where it was very much a level game, and it was a mistake at the end that cost the game. Something that was very noticeable, and certainly had a number of supporters talking about, was that post-match, while the support were licking their wounds and feeling sorry for themselves, there was none of that for John McGlynn. It was very noticeable that you addressed the press in a very positive fashion and immediately said, we need to win every game and we need the support behind us. Does that give us a wee bit of insight into how you work with the team?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if I'm negative, it's going to rub off on the players. You've got to be positive all the time. It doesn't matter how many sort of knocks you get in the chin, how many, any kind of knock you get, you've got to be ready to respond to it. Yes, there's disappointment, of course there's disappointment, of course you've got to learn from mistakes. We've been in the game long enough to realise that and to anticipate that's going to happen. And before the ball's kicked, I've got to prepare myself for a win, a draw, or a defeat. You've got to prepare yourself for that. And I do, inwardly, I do, in my mind, I do. However, I've got to also put over that it's the way that we respond to these things. We only had 4 defeats in the season. Amazing statistic, really, at the level that we're working at. So, fair play to the players. The significant thing about the Ayr United game, and yes, I didn't think we deserved to lose the game. I thought we played, it was a top of the table clash, not a lot in it, a lot of effort being given in. Maybe not the best football on show, but a lot of energy, a lot of honest endeavour. I still felt we deserved to win the game rather than lose it. But there was a number of fans who were going out the stadium, and we could hear from our dressing room them singing going down the hill there, and that was so reassuring and gave me personally great belief that the fans on the day, yes, we had lost, and yes, they were disappointed, but they seen that the players were giving everything, and I felt the fans hadn't given up on us that day. I thought there was fans going out here. It may not have been all the fans, but I certainly heard fans going out here singing, and that gave me the inspiration to look at the positive side of things.
And following that, the kind of challenge that you threw down was to win the remaining games. The run in and the response from the team was quite spectacular. Yeah,
and again, you say these things and you do believe in them, but I think many people, and even the chairman, came in after it and said, well, we may not win every game at the end of the season, but I don't think United will win every game of the season. And he was nearly so far wrong, it was incredible. However, at that time, I had to bit your hand off for 8 wins and a draw, we would have taken your hand off. And a way back, I don't know exactly the time scale, but I did think that 75 points would win the league, and 75 points was the total we got at Hampden, and that kind of won the league, albeit that we ended up with 76, and we really wanted 78. It was an amazing run, and you just go from one game to another. The old cliche, one game at a time, but you get that 3 points, and the 3 points become 6 points, the 6 points become 9 points, and all of a sudden you've got momentum going, you've got belief going, you've got, we kept the pressure on Ayr United, and we kept on saying the last thing we want is for Ayr United to have the comfort of being able to lose a game, and that would mean us losing and then winning. They would maybe have a 4-point cushion. We never wanted that situation to create, and that kept on driving us on also, that we want them to be under pressure, because you mentioned earlier how long we had been at the top of the league, and when you're at the top of the league there is more pressure on you than when you're challenging, and I think that maybe helped us as well. I'd have liked to have led the league from game 1 to game 36. However, we were there for a long time, and I think that when we went behind to Ayr United, maybe the pressure was then back really on Ayr United, who were at the league, top of the league for the first time, in week or game, I don't know, there was only 9 games to go when Ayr United hit the top of the league. So at that point, that was the first time they had hit the top of the league, and so they were then in a position that they were maybe going to get the pressure put onto them. And to be fair to Ayr, I thought they responded very well, because we would win a game, they'd win a game, we'd win a game, they'd win a game, we'd win a game, they'd win a game, all until, you know, the day when we beat Stirling Albion and they lost to Brecon up at Brecon, and then obviously afterwards when we win at Hampden and they drew at home to Alloa. But it was great for the two teams to be to keep that going, and the mental strength is a massive thing, that the players, the Raith Rovers players, stayed very, very focused, and strong mentality to go out and respond to decisions, respond to setbacks, to take belief from things that were going right, to take belief from the clean sheets that we were getting, and knowing that we were going to score goals. Yeah, that kept driving you on, you know.
You mentioned about the relationship with the support and how that's grown throughout the season. I think you at one point used the phrase that it was about a kind of mutual learning experience, that the support and the team had to get in a bit of harmony with each other. That's something we'll need to see develop as we move into next season as well.
Yeah, I mean, say it over and over again, the supporters were magnificent, but it's easy for us to have a winning team, and it's easy to play in a winning team, it's easy to coach a winning team, and I suppose it's easy to support a winning team, and we've only had 4 defeats. And we would be kind of false to think that we're only going to have 4 defeats next year. So we'll all need to be prepared for that. We don't expect to lose every week. Of course we don't. We don't anticipate that. I've just said I've been very positive, so I'm not going to change now. I want to be as positive as I possibly can. And who knows where we can go next year. It won't be for a lack of preparation. It won't be for a lack of effort. It won't be for a lack of discipline, because these are all things that I take, you know, a great pride and a great importance on. So we will be doing everything we possibly can. But yes, we'll need to be prepared to have more downs than we had this year and be together. You don't have to be the brains of Britain to realise that the First Division last season was a very, very tight division in which nearly every team were capable of beating the other team. And so that will be the case. And it would be the case this season that a team like Dunfermline, with about 4 or 5 games to go, could still have got dragged into the relegation. So you can win 2 or 3 games and really climb up this table. You can lose 2 or 3 and drop down it, and I don't see that changing next year. There's been 1 or 2 changes in teams, like Airdrie and Clyde have gone out, and ourselves and United's come in. But I think that it will be a similar type of league, whereupon, yes, I say a few wins you're up and a few defeats you'll go down, and I think that will happen throughout the season with most of the teams in it. There's not a lot of difference between them, and I don't think it's a league to fear. We respect all the teams in that league. We'll take nothing for granted whatsoever, but I don't have any fear about facing any team in the league.
We can ask you, in the kind of wider sense, not specifically looking at the first team, we can ask you about the progress that the club's made in your time here. And year on year it seems that there are leaps forward, and recently with the addition of a reserve team, are Raith Rovers going in the direction that John McGlynn wants them to be?
Yeah, massively, yeah. It's night and day, I think. You know, obviously the stands are the same, and the lights are the same, and the entrance is the same, and there's a lot of things are the same, but the atmosphere is tremendous. You know, when we talk about the ground, you know, we now have, and we have had for the past year and more, you know, a full-time groundsman. The ground, the park, everyone's commented on how good the park is. You know, there's a lot of work being done behind the scenes, the chairman, everyone here, so I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit for all these things. The chairman brought in the groundsman, who's done a great job, and the pitch will be of, you know, an SPL standard next year, never mind a First Division standard. Well, the kit deal that we got with Puma was a step forward at that particular time. The changing rooms were a disgrace. They're all been tidied up, they're painted, they're nice and tidy, they're clean. The shower areas, you could go on and on and on. The youth development side of things just came on leaps and bounds. We're attracting, you know, a better quality to player. Our teams are doing, you know, better than we did. We've now advanced into the Performance League, which means that from under 17 down, our teams will be playing against Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, Hearts will be competing with these teams, which I've said in the local paper that, you know, it just shows the criteria that we are now up to. We are matching the criteria of these teams, and that's the only reason that we've got in, because we've got coaches that are up to the level to do it. We'll be playing facilities and training facilities that are the same as these teams. So we're going to be competing at that level, which is a significant step forward. We'll be able to attract even better players because of the fact we are playing against these teams. The calibre of player that the first team has been attracting since we came in is getting better and better. There's so much things that's came on that I'm pleased with. No, just, I mean, with the greatest respect, the fan comes along and he sees the product between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock on a Saturday, but he doesn't see all the other work that's getting done behind the scenes here. And there's been a massive amount of work. The physiotherapists, Gordon McEwen and Brian Maher, they set up a brunch last year. They made a few bob and they've redeveloped the physiotherapy come rehabilitation area with new equipment in it. It was a dive before. There was bikes in there that were almost antiques, and now we've got up to the date bikes for the guys to help with their rehabilitation of, it's not a big area, so we're not going to get loads of stuff into it, but what we've got into it is the basics that we really need. And these are things that the guys, as I say, they just started to organise it themselves and producing money for ourselves to try and upgrade the place and make it more important for the players to come in and feel important when they come in. So, for the food that we now put on for the players, it was never before. It's night and day, really.
Was the challenge of building the club from the bottom up something that particularly appealed to you, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've always been a hard worker. I've always been one for rolling the sleeves up. I had a long apprenticeship, starting with juvenile football, youth football. I was in that for a number of years, and in there, there's no people. You've got other people like yourself, volunteers that are going to help out. But if you want things done right, you more or less have to go and do it and knock on doors and beg and borrow and try and get things. And it's no different here. I use people here, and you get them out of good faith. There's volunteers coming here on all types of. We don't have the money to give them. There's a lot of good faith shown to us, and we use our charisma and our power to try and get people to help us. And we do, for some reason. We do. So there's loads of areas that we try to tap into to get people to come and help us in.
You mentioned volunteers, you've mentioned the supporters throughout the course of the interview, and certainly you've got a great chance to mix. We've got a championship day out and about in the town. It strikes me that the players and the staff really understand how much pride Kirkcaldy has in its team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the amount of fans that they were so proud that the team were up, and they were brought back to Derby games with Dunfermline, as we've mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think the fans were a bit like myself, with the greatest respect to the second division, the clubs in the second division. I think we were getting fed up of going to the same places, and we were ready for a fresh challenge. And there's no doubt that was the case with the fans, that they can see that we chances to go to Dens Park next year, East End Park, Armand Vale, Capello, Firhill, down to Palmerston, up to Dingwall again, and then obviously Cali. So much better places for everyone to go and watch football.
Absolutely. Well, John, thanks for your time. I'm just wondering in closing if there's any question that you've not been asked that you were anticipating, or anything that you would like to add to the interview.
No, not at all. Not at all. Just probably coming back on the previous question, that the hard work began, and we're just, I don't know if we're halfway through it, quarter through it, a third through it. The one thing is that we're determined to continue to work hard, and next year will be a big challenge, and we'll have to be realistic. We're not going to set our stall out too low. I don't think we should set our stall out too high. Being in this league a year from now is what I'm looking to be. That leaves it very open. That could be second top, it could be third bottom. That leaves it very open. I think being in this league next year will be success, and that's where I want to be. I don't think we're quite ready to go into the SPL, so I think being in this league next year will be a success. So
it's as you say, it's just about continued steps forward.
Definitely, there's no magic wand here. It's very much in a budget and trying to take small steps forward, and we've done that every year. And I don't think we should get carried away with ourselves. Everything we get will be down to hard work, and there'll be no let up on that side of things.
So still a lot for yourself and your staff and players to achieve at Raith's.
Definitely. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, the hard work continues both on and off the pitch. There's still loads of areas we need to develop off the pitch as well. On it, we've got ideas for within the ground, but it would help if we had more money. But because we just have to take things very gradually.
Thanks very much, John.
Okay, cheers.